it's my pleasure to welcome you to the edition of Georgian Female Artist Project. And so we have Keti Kapanadze today. She's outstanding Georgian artist working and living in Georgia and in Germany. And so I would like to start with our presentation. So let me see. Okay, so Keti, as I started with all the other artists throughout this series, let's start at the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about your family, if you had any artists in your family? And you can start with that beautiful photo of you. And you haven't changed much. It's a beautiful photo.
Thanks. So, yeah, actually, I wasn't born in Tbilisi, and my mother was an actress. She's still till now active in theater and kino, and she was single mother. So I think it was very important. And first, I remember even to met my father first time, because I don't remember from till and 2 years old, but with 3 years old, I met him somehow in theater cafe. And so actually he was artist as well. And after he was a film director. And they never married. So I met his parents, my grandmother and grandfather, later as well, maybe with 6 or 7, what I remember. And my grandfather from his side was an actor in theater as well, and his father as well, so like 3 generations. And from my mother's side, father was doctor, but he could draw very well, and I still have his drawings, but I could not meet him, because my grandmother was divorced as well in these times, very earlier. And so when I was born, I think I didn't met him. So, and so it's like family story, but actually I grow up with my mother and grandmother at home.
And Keti, I was just curious, did they encourage you, as you know, it's traditional for Georgian families to encourage the creativity in children, to take them to drawing lessons, to music lessons, you know, it's like part of education. So was it something that was the part of your family life as well when you were small? Or was it more connected to theater, maybe performances and, you know, something more theatrical than kind of musical or painterly?
Yes. So as I mentioned, I have been mostly with my grandmother, because my mother was in theater and film somewhere outside of city. And after time, I remember maybe with 4 years, 5, 6, so like this age, how she took me to theater with her. So I was sitting in a dressing room and I saw this old woman, how they prepare themselves, and was very excited. But she always wanted that I'm independent. So I'm not dependent on film directors or a theater director. So I can make my decisions myself. And same, it was like my grandmother, she told me from really small age that I have to be independent. And I think she saw that I was a very shy person and as a child, and very introvert. And then I start to change me somehow, to work about myself somehow, to be independent more. And actually, as a child, I was interested for astronomy and archaeology and maybe some cartoon drawings, you know, but it was till 10, so to say, till 10, 11th age. And then my mother took me to private school from painting. And then after that, I went to art college. It was kind of a 4-year study which was
You
like
mean
a school.
Tbilisi Academy, right? The
Tbilisi,
Tbilisi
everything
Academy of the Arts, right?
Yes, yes. And it was like before academy, so one step before, and it was in school and academy. So actually, she wanted really that I will become painter, and for her this was like an artist who is independent and something like that. And after
So,
yeah.
Keti, no, I just wanted to
Sorry.
ask you about this photos here. So, who is this on the next photo? If you on the
This is
screen.
my mother, and
Beautiful.
this is my mother. She was making some tests or some film, shootings, or for theater. I don't know exactly, but it's the same age. Like I have been in this maybe 8 or 6 in this age, and I remember she had many series of these photos with different colors of hairs and something. It was very fancy. And
Very
I,
glamorous photo.
yes,
Right.
yes, I choose because she was really smoking the time. And I think it's characteristic somehow that she was she was looking really good that
Nice.
times.
And this is your
Yeah.
father?
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's my father. It's only one photo which I had from him as a child. I have till now, and it's maybe in the age. Actually, when I met him first, I was 4 years old. Actually, yeah.
And
And she
this,
died actually too early. So sorry. This is me and Anna, my daughter, and we are somewhere at with friends outside of city, and we draw always. And she draw always. I gave her some pencil as she was really small, like she could just hold the pencil, and she was drawing as a child all time.
so was it something that was one of my next questions. So in terms of, and we'll talk about your daughter later on, but I wanted to ask you, so in terms of the art school, what do you feel you learned there? I know that you changed your directions during your studies at the academy, and then later on when you left Georgia, you haven't studied, but I think you had a significant number of scholarships associated with some grad schools. So I'm just curious to hear your opinion about what you learned, what you feel you learned during your studies at Tbilisi Academy, and then later on, what do you think in general art school, because there are so many different opinions about how useful they are really. I'm just curious to hear yours because you had connection to many of them later on.
So for me, art school, actually, it was the first, which was my experience like as a student, and I was really young. I was 14. So actually, I have been with 14 like student, and it took me another level where somebody is really independent and has another approach to own, possibilities on what she's doing or something like this. And so I grow really quick in the time. And in the issue, what they was teaching, really, it was very classical, how to say,
Right.
concrete painting and drawing from nature or some naturemort and something like this. And it's not really make big difference as well in art academy, because we have been painting like 4 hours after drawing 4 hours in between some lections. But it was important for me as a social person, as a independent, which is now a big part of to be artist, to
Right.
have this feeling about not to learn somewhere something which I use really then in my practice. because as I was a student in art academy, actually from day or first week, I start to work for me parallel to academy, and it was completely another thing. It's like next maybe drawing you see if you are going
Yes.
another photo, and it is 1983. And this kind of series I made for myself, which I never show in academy, and it was kind of forbidden.
Forbidden.
And my diploma work after 6 years, it was like classical composition again, and even it has no meaning that I will make something like this one, because it would not accepted. And actually, again, my mother was really keen that I will get the diploma in art academy. So I made it like for her. But of course, this time to be student, it is very important. But actually, I don't think so that it's really, really made big difference if I would be in this kind of academy. And there is some example with my daughter, like we know she could very good draw and make copies from classical things and paintings and drawings, because she could just draw, and she as a child used to make some things and so on. It was like maybe somebody who is not used to make such things, I think they can still go to art academy and to discover, because the student time actually is to discover what you want. How I said, it was very important for me who I am, how it's happened, because I was born in this time when it was like Soviet Union.
There
It was
still was,
absolutely
yes.
like,
It's
yeah.
Sure.
And because it was kind of to make decision what I'm doing, just to be conscious what I'm doing. And student time, it was like decision as well, what I'm doing. And nowadays people, they got this decision more free. So they are kind of, they have this moment, you know what I mean? That they are doing something else, which is forbidden. It's over, of course.
Right. And also, I mean, the student time is, it's time for experimenting and for kind of opening up and for soaking all the information in. And I think in Georgia still it's a little hard, although, I mean, obviously you have students there have much more information available through internet, but still it's somehow, it's still, the actual system is, it's a little old fashioned in most schools, from what I at least heard. I mean, yeah.
Yes. I could skip just one question, maybe, to talk about these systems, I think, or we can talk afterwards again, but just to tell about this.
Please go ahead, that's fine. Yeah, we don't, yeah.
Yeah, this, there is some new schools or universities where they teach now contemporary art directly without, knowing to draw or whatever.
That's another kind of, it's another contrast, and I don't think it's totally correct. I think students need foundations at least, and then they have an opportunity to decide, but not getting that training at all. I think it's a little off also. I don't know, what do you think about this, Keti?
Yeah, actually it is difficult because it's always very personal decision.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
if somebody thinks, I want to just really draw and paint and classically just to learn it, there is still possibility, and another way as well. So I know I have friends who teach there and there as well. So, and they both, they said it's very important. I don't know, it's difficult, still difficult. I think one has to be really when somebody wants to draw something, just figurative, just
Right.
human being, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think one has to draw it to
Right.
maybe learn or something, but it's like skill, you need it actually. So I don't know how they will get it without drawing or something, but I think
Yeah.
artist has to draw, and then of course it's decision again which way it's going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Keti, just to go back to your personal works, what are the important themes and concepts for you as an artist? And also, you were always, when I read about you before, and also for this intro, you were always dubbed as first conceptual artist in Georgia. So,
Mhm.
how do you feel about this title, and what do you think, and where it comes from? I mean, what was the basis of it? Yeah, I don't know if I should skip to this photo. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we can. This, what we see, it's my first from conceptual photos, which this I made from my past photo. It's
Mm-hmm.
89 or something, 1919, exactly when I finished with Art Academy or same time. And from beginning, actually, as I have been student and I was 20 the time, 21, so I start already to make my, how to say, creative work
Mm-hmm.
parallel to academy. And for me, it was always very interesting language and words. And in beginning, it was kind of a little bit in a way graphical interesting, and in a way like symbols interesting. And afterwards, this become like more texts. For example, this text has meaning, and today I'm working on the text, and then I make some kind of object. So if we go to back to these times when they said first conceptual artist as a female, mm, I agree, because in that time were more abstract paintings.
Mm-hmm.
So and Georgian art scene was really interesting and a little bit different as in other countries in Soviet Union. But somehow my work, it was like without any, you know, process, like there,
Mm-hmm.
like so in this form, and it is sometimes strange, but I think it is same time very depended on my personality. So I wanted to make something which helps me to find me, myself, and my
Right.
interest as a question. And this question, you know, it was not communism or something, or religion. So it was more consciousness and our, from where it's coming, and
Right. A
what is
question of
language.
identity. Right.
Yes,
Questions
and
of identity. Yeah.
identity. Yes,
Sure.
and women as a man, so same, you know, interests and positions. And yeah, and the same time as a women artist, and to be young, to take and to be taken serious, such things. So actually,
Keti, tell me a little bit more about this series of photographs. And I believe you went to Kazan for this, right? It's photographed there,
yes.
of all places. So
Yeah.
what brought you there? And I know that you created the series of photographs that played an important part in your kind of creative process later on. So tell me a little bit about this trip and why you took it in the middle of dead winter, as I can see it here.
Yeah, it's really strange, but and this interesting thing is that uh, that time I start to work about my photo series, which some series I made just at home from everyday objects and with texts, where I try to make with between this photography and the text, I try to make some kind of distance, which I think is very important to make different between just normal text and text which is like art and which
Right.
is conceptual art. And because of that, it was kind of position to show very intimate things, like my own things at
Right.
home, or my travel, or boyfriend, or something like this, and then to put on it under its kind of very different text or more about this. So actually it was kind of my life, what I live, I turn it always in kind of art. So somehow this trip was people I met on the Black Sea, so young guys, and we made friends, and then they invite me, and then I invite them, and I thought it will be interesting. That Kazan, it is a city where Lenin was studying in
Right.
university. It was very important city at that times, but nowadays it's like you see, it's really strange, and Soviet buildings, or just
Sure.
so.
That's okay, Kete. So yes, so and you were talking about the Kazan, how Kazan, that's yeah, that's very Soviet. It looks very kind of otherworldly right now. But at the same time, when you think about it, how do you think how different it is from what is there right now? I mean, yes, probably there are newer buildings, but the overall feeling of the city is probably similar, although it was many years ago now.
It was really many years ago. So
Right.
actually it was, I think, 1991 or 1992. Mm,
Right.
and it was more like Russian city, which was already very different from Georgian city. So
Right.
actually, but really nice people. And it was interesting to have kind of this winter, to see such winter and
Right.
snow. It was really different. But what is important that I start afterwards to be, I was invited, so I went in other countries, and this travel and this process, it was again personally very important for me because of this process and making art on the way, and where I am, and not these situations there, what I found, but just my trip there. It was
Right.
always very important.
Through your eyes, just processing it and, just coming to terms
No,
with it.
mostly what I want to say, actually, because I have wrote this and now I cannot
That's
I
fine.
cannot contact with this text. It was that showed me that I'm an independent person, which was always told for my grandmother and mother, that I have to be independent. And if I am there with like 25 or 26, and they took me as an artist and interesting, and then it was important for me as for myself, my
Right.
personality. So
So it kind of helped you to grow into the person that you were.
yeah.
Keti, also, I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about 90s and all this, big shifts that were happening as the Soviet Union was coming to a close, and the civil war and Abkhazian war that was taking place at that time in Georgia. Did these processes somehow affected your art, your search for identity as an artist? That you were still young artist at that point, and was it something that you felt you needed to reflect in your artworks? It's a big question, but I'm just I don't know, should I go with the next photo? I'm just not sure about the date for this, or this is from later, I believe.
No, it's not from late. It's like same time. This is what I wanted to say. Same time I create kind of very different kind of body of works, which are same time from aluminium objects, like small sculptures with words, and this kind of ready-made photos, which are some ready-made objects. And so it was everything between 92, what we are looking now, and 1994. So like, you know, and the same time, from 92, I think, and to 90, it was two civil wars in Georgia, and the second war, it was in Tbilisi actually, and it was really difficult times. And what is important for me, the time that I keep going. So I was working as an artist for me, because it was not really big, you know, exhibitions or something happening in Tbilisi. It was not possible. And I have been in some situations through travel again from Abkhazian, which is not anymore Georgia, coming back from Kazan, which
yes, I read that story in your book. Yes, or I think I heard it into your interview. I listened to a few interviews, and yes, it was an interesting story. Yeah. Very dramatic.
Yeah, and yeah, it was really interesting. And then so I came back through Abkhazia to Tbilisi, and afterwards this war, which is actually, this trip was very interesting again. And it was some kind of social activities, like because you are living there, which really keep me like kind of not politically involved, but as a person really involved. And I have some kind of jokes, I have some kind of textual works, like, you know, texts.
Yeah, sure.
We like these hands. This next photo is coming.
Yes.
If you will show this. Yeah. And there is some stereo of these hands, and I hold different texts, and I have two of this series, and another series really about a little bit political, but it's always a little bit with humor, and it's not so, you know, no propaganda, so to say.
Keti, that was one of my questions actually. So during that time, you also you had some performances happening, right? You had some performances. You took this photo projects on, and then you created this text object. So I was wondering, does this transition happen from idea to idea, or it was like in those specific years you worked on specific form of art and then you moved to something else, or was it more fluid? Was it like one idea expressed in different mediums? More like
yeah, it was like I said, this is difficult to say, like same time, so it was not one after another.
So it was just fluid, more kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it was like fluid, sometime like same time in different materials, which I would say different projects. And what's important that then every this decision to make just in aluminium or in photography or so. So bring me to another level, to another decisions, which was always like going like stepstones, so to say,
Sure.
and one project to another, and it was more fluent, and so not. But once I made project like 3 years long, later, 2009 to 2012, only painting projects, which was for me was a really conceptual idea, because this painting was really not really painting. For me, it was object with drawing, where I did not use real colors. So it was glue and pigment. And this is just one, when I really went to another material and then back again what I'm doing.
So it's, and sometimes, as I think we also had that conversation in Tbilisi, that there are some ideas to which you return over time as well. So it's something that if you have some trigger from the past, you go back to it. Keti, can you tell me a little bit about how you moved away from Georgia? Because I think you left in 2000, right? And then you moved to Germany. So tell me a little bit about your move and where you are mostly now. You split your time, or how did it affect you?
Yes. So between 80s and 90s, like we said, I was invited, and in 2000, I got a scholarship in Germany, and it was for 2 years. It's beside Stuttgart, the city, Göppingen, and they have kind of museum, and they have the scholarship from person who was an artist earlier,
Right.
and Christoph Baumann Stiftung it called. And so then I went there with Anna, with my daughter. So she was in school
So she
age.
followed all your career steps. That's so interesting that she observed you at work as you were also kind of doing your working as an artist. Very interesting. And then she became an artist in her own right. So it's, yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, and then she was like me, like with 14, 13, 14. And then I got 1 year more, and after 3 years, I could establish me. I took my own atelier, so I got visum like an artist, so I could stay. And I started working as a free artist, and I was living in Stuttgart till 2012. And after I moved to Bonn, and now actually like 50-50, we are in Germany and in Georgia. So, but my daughter now she's in New York, and afterwards she got in art academy in Stuttgart, and then with 15, she was accepted as a student actually, and then she moved to Düsseldorf, and she finished this art academy in Düsseldorf, which is really one of the best academies in Germany. And after, with her friend, they moved to New York, and they are living there almost now 10 years or more. Yes.
10 years, yes.
So it was, for her, it was like, living and understanding this all problems what artists
so something that she observed in the very formative years, and I'm sure that she learned a lot from that time because she was also observing it for firsthand as your daughter. I wanted also to ask you, so in terms of the other photos that I have here, what are the most important projects and milestones for you as an artist, and why specifically? Can you talk a little bit more about this next slide? Because, yeah.
Yes. This was one project which I made I went to Germany with this stipendium. Like 2 years, I was working with kind of ready-mades and with toys. And it was first color photography, which I made like series with these photos. And then I had three exhibitions in 3 museums after stipendium was over. And it was for me very interesting, why there is some part where some playful part and with humor, which is always somehow in my work. And it was this part to make some photos with toys, actually. It was just one project where Barbie was involved, and it seemed again maybe strange for some people who didn't know what I was doing before, because I used materials before like ready-mades, I said, and this thema like Barbie, and she wants to be a real person, and it was kind of image of Pinocchio women, female Pinocchio who wants to be female, like such thing. And it was important because it was really first photography which I made as an art in color. So.
Right, Keti, I just wanted to ask you why specifically you chose Barbie, because I mean, to our eyes now, it's such a sexist in a way representation of women, right? That supposedly she's all to this beauty standards, but at the same time there is a lot of artificiality towards it. So why do you think, was it the reason why you chose the specific doll rather than something else, or like the gender, this idea of gender and sexuality, and I've seen it your works, they play important part in your practice. So was it the aspect that you wanted to kind of investigate with this in a way?
Yes, sure, because I think it was kind of maybe in beginning not really very feministical, thinking, but it was automatically only just one toy, which is made like a woman. And it is again create from us, and it is not critical, because everybody, oh, how it looks like Barbie and terrible, or somebody looks like Barbie, and so it was kind of in my thinking another way around, that Barbie actually wants to be just normal, and it's just, and I made her a little bit maquillage. I made this like so paint new eyebrows. And it changed absolutely her character.
She became someone else. Her personality.
Yes.
Her personality.
Yes. And then it was kind of like this picture. There's some series of pictures, only Bear or Barbie or something, with Jeff Koons and kind of, Cicciolina story. So. Yes, and I think it's a very important project for me again, because as I said, I made it in 2005 color photos, and really in studio, and really with background and something like that, and prepared and in white artists. Mostly they were actually artists or students or something, curators or young people who work in gallery. And but for me here was really strange mixed from text which I wrote, and these texts become really has meaning. It's not just one word like before, like sculpture. and it's about very near to theoretical physics, where we know these theories that things are existing if we are looking at these things. And
Yeah,
it's
very
Schrodinger's cat.
philosophical kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays it's very interesting subject actually um, in physics and mathematics and everything. And this gold color what they have. So actually it was kind of, our working title for this photo series was King Midas, and the story is everything what he's touching
It becomes
becomes
gold.
in gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like this physical theory, so everything what we are looking, it becomes in material world. So
Right.
and this text Jungs are holding, it was 7 of these photos, and it's always this text. So I think it was really important work for me, just to, again, to put this real person and text and color together and so on. Yeah.
Keti, how about this next one? And I think I saw a version of this at the Untitled, right? 3 years ago or in 2018, I think, in Miami. I saw this, or it was
Yeah,
part of this
Nada Miami.
presentation.
Nada
Monada Miami,
Yes.
yes, right.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this project.
Actually, like I said, I used to make ready-mades, like to change what ready-made is, function, and so you are changing everything, right? And this color plates are tabletops from 60s, between 15th and 16th.
Where did you find them? I'm just curious.
In Germany.
Oh, in
In
Germany.
Germany, actually
Right.
online, and they
Interesting.
are flower tables like this. And it was, for me, was like Barbie, it was just once, shortly, somehow after German architecture and everything in design, we did story, it really German, Western design, they create this kind of amorphous, happy forms, which is absolutely strange and just happened some years, during 5 years or something, and it was over. So they are very rare. And then when I saw once, because I remember from childhood, but when I saw once, I saw like a face, and I said, okay, we will do it. And then this kind of works, I never know how it's going, but I know how it has to look at the end. So this way to go there, it's process always, because of that, this work is important as well. So
it's the open-ended process. And so this is from your ongoing exhibition in Tbilisi right now, right? As I understand, those 2 images.
This one,
No, this is from before, I think. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, this is from before, yes. And the next photo is now ongoing exhibition. This one.
So tell me a little bit about this, as you went back to the text and using textual system, right, as part of your process. So what prompted you to go back to this specifically?
Actually, for me, exhibitions are really interesting last time, because it involves space as well. And this work I made for this room, for this gallery,
It's Art Gallery, yes, right. I recognize
Tbilisi.
the building.
And so I had this imagination to have this perspective, but there is not such a big gallery like you can create so this perspective. Because of that, I wrote like this way, and then this perspective is quasi artificial, which anyway works. And text was very important because this thema last years actually mostly always, but it's developing, and one is more and more involved with some kind of themes,
Sure.
and it's about free will. And when I was working about around this text, and then kind of develop this text to the end, and then I read some things, and it's really, really topic now in theoretical physics, even in real physics, in science general, that if we have free will, and actually it was a really big news to know from experience they made, experiments they made on the brain, just in a simple decisions made, you know, with computer and screen and so on. They said, we have no free will. So actually, and it's such a big thema, because we are born to learn to be independent and to make decisions and to have free will. And it's coming out such a, and this going in another level, which is
So,
really
Keti, let me ask
next
you. So,
exhibition.
what they do? So, okay, so we don't have free will, and what does it mean that we are kind of deciding based on the constraints around us, or then if we cannot decide for ourselves, do we just listen to the expectations, or what is the kind of idea behind it? We don't have it, so what do we have instead of that?
Yeah, okay, it was maybe even we have illusion on this philosophical subject of if we have free will, but this was about process, what's happening when we make decisions, this text exactly. So it is about, I cannot read now, and I would say I have somewhere here, just if I can find in English, I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. So it's okay, I found it. So because now I cannot read it, and it has biological constraint. The more we use it, the harder it gets to use it again. So what's really happening that, for example, we would say, okay, with 15, I decide to marry, right? And with 20 and with 80, and I don't know. So more you decide things, not concrete things, generally, more you make decisions, it will be used. It will be
it's like a finite
stress,
resource, I understand.
and you have not power to use it again. And it is crazy, because we are like used to be, if you decide now, you decide afterwards easier, right?
Right. I've heard that theory.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So this idea that this is a resource, kind of.
So it is interesting. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful, and you explored it in such a concrete way, but also you put some abstraction into it by placing it site specifically into this gallery. So it's very interesting to see this. And then, so Keti, how is it with this ongoing exhibition now? So tell us more. So this is the latest one. It's still on view in Tbilisi. So can you tell me a little bit about the specific work?
Yeah, this is this exhibition now. It's like two artists exhibition, and it's in gallery 4710. It's a new art gallery, and young people are running this gallery, and they are working mostly with artists who just start to make career. And this another artist is a young artist. He went now to study in Frankfurt. So actually, and we made this exhibition together, and it was really very well it was really nice together. Actually, it was kind of interesting to see somebody with 23 and then my works, and sometimes same material.
Right.
Yes, dialogue with material and with theme as well. And exhibition called Me and You and Me. And for me, it was about personality. So it was about self and to understand world, and little bit complicated now just to talk about this, just from zero. But what's important is this work I made first time with Georgian alphabet.
Script,
so this is all Georgian text. First I wrote in English, then I translate in Georgian, and I try that it's not very like poetic, but it's difficult actually when you are reading something and it's just beautiful. I don't like such texts.
Right. So Keti, what does it say specifically? Because it's hard for me to read the text from here. So what is can you at least read part of it for us?
Yes. Oh, it's again, I did not prepare this, but I have somehow. Just a moment.
I think I can see the word Taro, which means stream, right? And then
no.
Yeah,
no.
hard.
Actually,
yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I will look now a little bit. Okay, I will try to translate, but it's not so easy. Step over the curtain of physical rules where the numbers are creating kind of structures of possibilities, and you will find there science which or language in which the world is talking to us. But it's very difficult to translate now.
Yes,
Back
and
again from Georgian English.
It's literal also.
Yeah, it's about another dimension. So what I wanted to say that, and it's like curtain hanging, it's like if you go over, you can see the structure of world, which is Ashenebulia built,
which is built
with language of mathematics, which is just another dimension. So
right. So that's built from this structure, yes. And it's also interesting that you chose aluminium again, right? Because it is aluminium as your medium.
It's very thin aluminum, like another one. And for me, it was not only text, but graphic, how it works, how it installed. And so it's not only text what is important. So, you know what I mean? It has the kind of object which is
which is
first, and
also with
then
presence within the which has its own presence within the space, which is also
yes,
interesting space that I've been to that
yeah.
gallery. Wonderful. Keti, I want to go back a little bit, so a few remaining questions. So one was about, I want to ask you about 1990s art scene of Tbilisi. We briefly touched on this. That was very interesting. It was very vibrant. There were many talented and very talented individuals working on in it. So I was wondering, and I think we touched on this when we spoke in Tbilisi, that at that time in Georgia as well as elsewhere in the Soviet Union, there was this kind of feeling of a promise that something bigger and better and kind of more is coming in every field, including art, including literature, including politics. So do you feel that this promise has been since fulfilled in Georgian art, or what do you feel? I mean, first question is about art, and second of all, where do you see it went after all these years that passed since then?
That time when we met us first time, we mentioned Carlo Cajarawa,
Sure.
and
Outstanding figure. That is so amazing,
yes,
really.
and
Yeah.
yes, and besides, he was a very great person. Besides, he was very really good artist, so painter itself, but he was profession art critical, which is not so many in Georgia. And I think this kind of institutions, like person who is authoritative figure in
Right.
one subject, and he communicates modern art to just general public.
Right.
I think this is what is missing in Tbilisi. And only artists, if they are very good even, or many, they
Right.
cannot go through this, without some person who is in between, like, like art museum,
Right.
not private galleries. They have not this work. It is not their work. It has to be somebody institutional, like museum, culture ministry, that these values, they will be found and shown and say, look, this is interesting. We
Right.
are valuing this. And in because of that, it was crazy time. Everybody was really working, and it
Euphoric.
was now
Yeah. Right.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah, before some years you could not make these exhibitions, and after you feel free. But now you can make everything. But still,
Right.
this position is missing, and so long it's missing. There is a kind of new university, WATS, maybe
Yes,
they
I
are
heard. Yeah.
teaching
Sure.
contemporary art, which is really good. And these new galleries, and then as well, there are new collections, collectors appearing, and it
Right.
will be now some movement. But general, I hope this part will develop more quick, as it's a little bit slow. That country takes it serious, not country, just system.
Yes, the system. I understand, and also develop some critical
Yeah,
kind
there
of
is some values in contemporary art. Yes.
critical
Yeah.
thinking about it. Yes. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Because as you know, Keti, a very large part of the art system is about creating texts, discussing them, putting together conferences, putting together different kind of discourses on many different levels. It could be connected to academy, it could be connected to auction houses. It doesn't matter, but it is kind of, it's bigger than any specific circle. That's why it kind of makes it international. And I also feel, I agree with you that Georgia kind of needs to be more grounded in this more global understanding of it. Through residency programs also are important. So, to
Yes.
and
Yes.
yes. Another question, Katie, as you as a practicing woman artist in Georgia in 1990s, you are the only practicing woman artist, as I understand. So has it changed? Do you feel that women in general and women artists in Georgia are more empowered? Looking at, I mean, your daughter studied with you. She studied in Germany and then she moved to New York. I'm curious also about what you see in Georgia specifically with this.
Okay, it was this moment in 80s when I was really standing alone as a female artist. And it was interesting because as a female, as a young, and as a conceptual artist.
Right.
So after in 90s, it started everything, but it was some kind of years when one can say that I was alone. And I think that when I'm looking at this developments and how it went after, and for young people now it's
Right.
really open, these possibilities to make something. I think it is now really, one can say, the same situation like in Europe, in another countries, in German or somewhere. Of course, this institutional side, it's not so developed, but then this drive, the people want to do this, and they want to be updated, they want to be in dialogue with another countries, like
they're motivated to push.
Yes, motivated, and they have kind of possibilities more or less. I want to say Corona again, but anyway, this situation is really changed to good.
Right.
In times like ours and my time, and the time like artists work, the time many people worked in painting and like, make crazy paintings and so on. So they're still working, but there's new generation which they are like, they would say, we are finding things now. It was nothing. And they are right. Actually, what they are doing now, they are like, I was doing from nothing. You know what I mean? It is not be experience, cultural, like library where they can go and pick up, because there's somebody who was really good because of circumstances or situations, they are working abroad. Yeah, you cannot go and to see contemporary Georgian artists exhibition in Contemporary Art Museum. It is not, right?
I know, yes. I went to
so
that
now
museum.
they are kind of, they are kind of, they would say we are first, who now is really working in this way. And it is right, because before it was like, you know what I mean?
No,
Or I'm talking a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean. And also I feel, I mean, not to be really hard also on the museums, it takes time. In Georgia, time is perceived very differently also. And that's one thing. Another thing, it takes time for museums to catch up to real life and to real development. So let's hope that Georgia will have contemporary art museum that actually shows current developments. But also, I agree with you that gender these days doesn't play too much of a role for Georgian artists at all, and not any kind of negative role. And I feel like Georgian female artists specifically, they've been so talented, so motivated in Georgia, outside of Georgia. It's somehow the strength that they gained from you, having you as a role model, or like, people whom we covered in this project. Like people like Natalia Yankoshvili, who was in the 60s and 70s and 80s, or Vera Pagava, or the very different personalities, but at the same time, all of you pushed for very strong, very inclusive kind of reality in the art field. And I feel like this generation that's working on right now, they're really finding their own way, and we should just let them be and see how it develops over time.
Even I would say there are more female artists.
Mm-hmm.
They are more as a man female artists now. You
Right.
know,
It's
young
interesting. Yeah.
artists. They are more
Younger.
female artists. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like this, and it's nice. Why not?
Wonderful. Keti, anything else that you would like to say in conclusion of this? And I appreciate your time, and it was very wonderful to hear your story and talk and hear you talk about your art. But I was wondering if there is anything else that we think we left out, or if you would like to add something to anything.
No, actually not. I hope it was really interesting. I don't know, because
It
I
was.
prepare myself, and then you cannot really follow, or me, I cannot follow myself what I was preparing. But I want to add, because I prepare this this one I see. As a young artist, I was telling always you have to have aims to achieve that. And I had some says, or how to
Right.
say, I don't know.
Right.
Some artists were like laughing, and one was really, what you are thinking, you are becoming that, and what you feel, you are attracting these things, and what you imagine, you create. And this was what I was thinking, and I found yesterday this is what Buddha said.
Wow.
So
That's
it's just funny, and it is what I want to say. I think it is very important. Other level, maybe we don't make decisions, but we have always possibility to choose between make decision or not to make decision, without, or if it's something better or not, And I think one has to move from inside to be ready to has this drive as an artist. And I think this is what I want to say.
wonderful, Keti. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.